are interested in how to become a published photographer, I want to make sure I get this out to everyone, because I also am going to send this out to my audience that's in Africa. So I want to make sure, because I got a lot of questions during this weekend from people that were interested in photography. And they were like, how do you become published? Now, I got published in many unorthodox ways, but they all fit into what I'm about to share. So people have different journeys and different ways of getting published in different magazines or books. So there's no one shoe fits all. Just to say that. Also, everyone has their unique journey. So you can't look at someone else and say, oh, wow, this is how they did it, so I'm going to do it that way too. It is not. But if you look at some of these basic tips that I put together for you guys, it will help you understand how to become a published photographer. And so we're going to go through them. I think this will help. And this is not for just professional photographers. There are people that take pictures and they get published in a magazine, and they just happen to be at the right place at the right time, taking the photo for that news story or that subject, and then it gets published. So there's many ways of becoming a published photographer. Let's go. Ready to see your photos in print? Here are some steps to help you get published. And when I say print, I also mean pretty much digital print, because most people are posting or publishing in digital print. You get them on your tablets. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to number one. Build a strong portfolio. Curate your best work into a cohesive collection that showcases your style and versatility. Make sure it's easy to navigate and visually appealing. So those that want to create a book, I never forget. I have some folks that speak into my life. I want to do a bigger book. I did one book, but I'm going to do another book. And they were like, Ron, take all your photos and start going through them, combing through them, and looking for your similar stories that you've been photographing over the years. That you may find that you have an amazing collection of photos on cars, and a lot of your images have cars. So take those and gather them, put them in a file, put them together. You may have a collection of girls jumping rope. Some people like jump rope. Some people go to double dutch contests, and you can take all your photos over the decades or the years that you've collected of people double dutching. Or you might be someone that I'm learning also. This is my new thing I'm doing, is walking around the city and taking pictures of old signage. Because one day those signs will no longer be here. So I'm documenting signs around the city, and then maybe one day it'll be a book. And I've collected signs since I was, I've been really focused on it since July, since my photography buddy who said, Ron, you should think about these signs. And I was like, what? So I go around the city photographing signs. One day it could be a book. One day it might be just a story. It may be just a quick story that I hand off to a magazine. Who knows? But find the thing. Curate your best work into a cohesive collection that showcases your style and versatility. Even if you do, like I said, take your smartphone. Use that smartphone. Many stories in National Geographic and other magazines have been photographed with smartphones. So don't think you need to have a big DSLR or a mirrorless camera or some big giant machine to get your story out there. The whole point is to get your story out there. Next, find your niche. Determine the type of photography you're passionate about, whether it's portrait, landscape, street, or something else. Specializing can help you stand out in a crowded field. That's always been my problem. I work against myself in a lot of cases because I like a lot of photography, but some of my colleagues and my peers, they are committed to one one thing, passionate about one thing, and they go after it with all their heart, whether it's protests for Black lives or protests for being in the streets or cyclists or whatever their passion is, they go all in, and their reward is that someone in that sector will see their work because they see it over and over and over again. So therefore, they have the opportunity now to be seen by someone in that industry. And they may say, oh, you know, I have an article I want to write about. Can I use your photos? That's how it happens with me several times. I've just shared my work, share my work, share my work. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then next thing you know, someone saw it and they say, Ron, I'm doing a story. Can I use your photos for the story? And that's how you get published. Okay, next one. Network with professionals. Attend photography exhibitions, workshops, and networking events. Connecting with other photographers and industry professionals can open doors to opportunity. You know how I feel in this community. Networking is key. Networking is key. You got to get out there. I was reminded by the great Howard Cash, who my first interview since I came on, when I came onto YouTube, and we were talking. He says, Ron, if you want to get in a certain circle, you got to be in that circle. You got to be in that circle. So, and connect with those people in those circles. Network and connect. So network with professionals. Get out there. And also join communities. Get out there and join other photography communities. I when people were in my feed and my Black threads on this weekend, they were asking me all kinds of photography questions. And they were like, I have no one to talk to. I was like, get out there and get into, there's black women photographers organizations. There are women photographer organizations. There are street photography organizations. There are many sectors. Join community. Go to your Meetup app. Can I say it again? Go to your Meetup app and see what events are happening in your town. Like I do my photography meetup on the fourth Saturday at 2:00. Every fourth Saturday, 2:00 every month, except for Christmas time. And people gather together of different skill sets, and they meet each other and build camaraderie. Some of the people that are in my community have been photographing for decades. 50 years of photography experience, and some have just 50 days of experience. But you need to get into a network of photographers so you can build your skills and build your connections. Submit to competitions. People say, how did I get that first photo into the National Geographic, called National Geographic Your Shot? It was a submission. It was a submission. And it was my mentor, Omar, who's sometimes in this building. You saw him here earlier, Omar Ramos. Had said, I had just got back from Africa. I was photographing overseas. And he says, you know what? You need to get your work into other circles. And I was like, maybe. But anyway, long story short, I was a member of National Geographic Your Shot, and they had an article submission. Now, they don't have National Geographic Your Shot any longer since Disney took over the company, but they have other mechanisms through Instagram and through other places. But this was specific and it was curated. So they had an article called Pops of Color. I just so happened to have taken a picture in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral of a cat with a beautiful sweater, beautiful eyes that match. It was perfect for the story. I said, you know what? I think this fits the criteria. I will submit it. And out of 15,000 submissions, that photo made it to the story. So again, don't be afraid to submit your work. Don't be afraid to, I know sometimes you say, sometimes these little submissions cost money, $20, $30, $40, or whatever. Sometimes they're free. Do it. If you have a photo that you love and you think other people will love, submit your work. Enter your work into photography contests. Winning or placing can boost your credibility and get your work noticed by publishers. Right? I'm sure after getting that one picture in that National Geographic story by National Geographic Your Shot, I was able to put on my resume, photo published in National Geographic, even though it was National Geographic Your Shot, National Geographic. It makes a difference. It changed my resume. It changed my resume. It gave people now think twice when they look at my and now obviously now I have the New Yorker and all the other things. But you got to start somewhere. Start somewhere. Next. Excuse me. Approach publications. I don't do this enough. I need to do this more. Research magazines, blogs, and websites that align with your style. Tailor your submissions to each publication's guidelines, including a personalized cover letter and relevant samples from your portfolio. Okay? Okay? So research magazines, blogs, and websites that align with your style. You have a style. Your style may match another publication. And then they print your photo for their stories. Or you could submit a story that you think will be good for their magazine. So it goes both ways. A two-way street. Next, leverage social media. Share your work on platforms like Instagram, Pinterest, and for those that are in the Adobe world, Behance. Behance is where people gather and share work. So Behance, engage with your audience and use relevant hashtags to increase visibility. So you have a photo. You like your photo. You want people to know about your photo. Put it on social media. Put it on social media. A lot of reasons why I get projects is because people see my work and they go, now people know, because I've been doing this for now going on 8 years as a professional photographer. And people go in and say, oh, I need a photographer. And they automatically know, oh, I know someone named Ron. And then they call me, right? Put your work out on social media. And let the social media be the judge. Now, don't put your eggs in the, I said, don't wear your feelings on your sleeve when it comes to social media, because social media is not where the experts, the experts live there, but people that may like your photo or don't like your photo are just people that are on Instagram or just on Facebook or just on these platforms. You know your work. You know your love for your work. You know your passion. Put it out there. Just put your work out there. Take photos. And can I say it again? Keep taking photos and post your photos. I use now Instagram because Instagram is not the Instagram it used to be. It used to be when you used to put Instagram and all your friends saw your work. That doesn't exist any longer. You have to promote your own work in Instagram. You have to send it to your friends, right? You have to send it to the people you want them to see your work. And then you can also use Instagram and Facebook, mainly Instagram, as your portfolio. Let it be a biography of what you do so people can know who you are. They get to see who you are. Social media gives you that leverage. Next, create a personal website. Your website is, here we go, a professional website acts as your digital business card. Include your portfolio, a biography, contact information, and a blog to showcase your expertise and attract potential clients. So much. I don't know. Some people say blogs are coming back. I've seen blogs like on Tumblr. People tell stories. You used to have photographers on Tumblr, which is a blog platform. I'm on Tumblr. If I do a story that I think, for instance, most of a lot of these lessons I do here, I put on my Tumblr. You know, TUMBLR. There's no E in it. Gwendolyn says she has a blog on LinkedIn. So blogs, people still use blogs. People still use blogs. Okay. So get your work out there. Create a personal website. Even if it's just like you may not be able to afford a website. Maybe you can only afford a landing page, which are usually free. Or you can go to, I think they still have Google Blogs. You can create a Google blog that acts like a website. That's how I got my start. My first website was my Google blog. And I put my photos there and shared my work through there. I think people still do it that way. It's free, right? Google blog is free. Next, collaborate and assist. Can I say that again? Collaborate and assist. Work with established photographers or assist on shoots. It's a great way to gain experience, learn new techniques, and build your network. Right? It's a great way to gain experience, learn new techniques, and build your network. Collaborations. How many times have people reached out to me and you say, Ron, how did you get published in that magazine? How did you get published? For instance, my client reached out to me to photograph their new organization that they have formed in the interior design field. I was also part of an interior design, because for those that don't know, I do interior design as well as a photographer. I was part of this networking group, and they reached out to me and said, Ron, could you photograph us? And we want to create this whole thing for our, we want visuals for what we're doing. And I said, sure. Obviously, they paid me for it. They paid me for my service. So I pick good clients. I pick great clients. And they got their stuff together, put it out into the world, all the photos that I took of them. I was in Iceland getting ready to photograph the Icelandic eruption that went to the New Yorker. But next thing you know, I get the phone call and they say, Ron, Interior Design Magazine wants to use your photos. Can they do it? Do they have permission? I said, absolutely. So collaborations, even with your clients, can bring opportunities. Like, I mean, I didn't go and pitch it to Interior Design Magazine. However, my clients did. My clients pitched what they were doing. And before you know it, I have photos in Interior Design Magazine. So again, collaborations are so important. I'm collaborating with people. For instance, we make us safe. That documentary movie. I submitted my work to something that they did during Black Lives Matter. I become great friends now with the person with Sean who was on here. I interviewed her. We had our conversation, and you guys got to meet her. And then she says, Ron, would you like to be a part of my project? I say, absolutely. Absolutely. And next thing you know, she asked me for a bunch of photos. I collaborate with her, and now my photos are in her documentary movie. This is how it works, guys. You got to get your work out there. You just have to be open to connect. Collaborate. Don't be afraid. I had another person. I don't know if should I be talking about. Well, there's a project that I'm in. I can't tell you what exactly it is, But they approached me because I had worked on a project with just kind of like I photographed an event that happened, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we love the way you photograph." And now we're doing a book, and we have a book of photos that we want photographers to submit to, and it's for Black photographers. And we want to submit this into a book, and you are one of the photographers. We would love to have your work in that book. So it's a collaboration of many photographers. And when this book is launched, whenever it will happen, I will be in a collective of all these amazing Black photographers. Again, don't be afraid to collaborate. And it's not about the money. It's not, can I say this again? I know a lot of people are like, I need to get paid for everything I do. No, you do not. There are greater rewards than money. Relationships pay off bigger dividends. Relationships with people play bigger dividends than the dollar. I have a client that I had. She just sent me, we were just talking yesterday on LinkedIn. She goes, I just recommended a new client for you. I said, oh, thank you for the referral. She's my client that was recommended to another person, another client. And then next thing you know, we build a friendship, build relationships. That's right. Here we go. Here we go. I want to say that. Chrissy says, here we go. Relationships are gold. 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 Dr. Tachi says, this is such good information. Y'all, because look, if you ask for it, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the information. And most people pay for this information, right? Most people will hire you and say, Ron, come do a seminar at such and such and talk about this subject. Hint, hint, anyone out there that sees this, I am glad to talk about this on a symposium or webcast or whatever. I am open to share and talk. But again, it's not about the money. It's about building relationships. I have a community, and I want you to be knowledgeable of what you can do as being published. The money will come. Someone will see it and say, you know what? Yeah, we want you to speak here, and we'll pay for it. But it's not about the money. Collaboration is about connecting with individuals that you can get them to where they need to go, and they can get you to where you need to go, because the collaboration is usually for both parties. That's right. Gwendolyn says, being genuine and creating relationships will always yield more returns. Right? Right? Rashawn says, awesome conversation. Okay, next one. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. Stay persistent. Stay persistent. Rejection is part of the process. Keep refining your work and don't get discouraged. Every no brings you closer to a yes. Can I say that again? Every no brings you closer to a yes. If my old employer did not tell me no, if they didn't tell me no, I would not have said yes to my life. If my employer, who I needed to go on the trip to photograph in Africa, I had an opportunity that came along, I needed 3 weeks, they said no, and I said, hell no, I'm still going. Even if I have to leave this job, I am going to do it because this is what I'm called to do. I felt it. I knew it. I knew in my heart I needed to do this. I said yes to me and said, okay, I got 11 months to plan my getaway, to plan my resignation letter. And what was supposed to be 3 weeks ended up being 3 months of living in the South African region. A no will bring you much closer to your yes. There's a yes coming. You know all the biographies of all the people that people said no to. And then when they got their yes, they were so glad that everybody else said no. Look, if I would have just simply just yielded and said and broke down because of the no, I would have never had my photos, a photo in National Geographic, a photo in the New Yorker, a photo in Interior Design Magazine, and the list goes on, right? I would never have had those publications. I would have never learned how to become a professional photographer if I had yielded to their no. Every no brings you closer to your yes. Every no brings you closer to a yes. I cannot overemphasize that. So you want to be a photographer? Yeah, you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to have a lot of sad days. You are. You just are. There are going to be days that people are like, yeah, no. You're going to look at other people's work and say, my photo was better. Well, why did they get the magazine cover? My photo was better. Why did they get the centerfold? My instinct to doing this was even better. But why didn't that door open for me? You're going to feel it. You are going to feel it. Let me tell you. I know, because I'm telling you from my life experience. You're going to feel it. But you cannot stop. You cannot stop. You got to keep going. Chrissy says, you said yes to your life, Ron. That's powerful. Here's G says, it's not no, it's not yes. That's my mantra. And I see Mimi says, facts. G says, if you want anything in this world, you will not be accepted by all. Right? So get out there. Be the best photographer you can be. Be out there. Share your work with everyone. Get out there. Photograph everything you possibly, the things. Someone asked me this weekend in Black Threads this weekend, they said, what's your greatest tip? I said, shoot with passion. Shoot the thing that you are passionate about. I mean, look at Jamel Shabazz. I got all these books back here from Jamel Shabazz. He shoots with passion. Butch, who was on here last week, who has an exhibition in Connecticut right now. He shoots with passion. And now his work is in a gallery being sold. Shoot with passion and doors will open up to you. I shot with passion. Next thing you know, someone got me a phone call. Phone call came through and said, Ron, I'm doing my first gallery show at El Barro in East Harlem, New York City. I would love for your photos to be part of the show. I would have never had, that was my first, well, that was my second. That was my first full exhibition of my work. First exhibition on the gallery walls in a building structure where people came to see it. Why? Because someone's kept seeing my work on social media. They were like, oh my gosh, your photos are making me cry. Your photos are making me aware of what's going on in the streets doing Black Lives Matter. Don't underestimate yourselves. Stay persistent. Okay, I beat this one. I beat this one down because I'm very passionate about this. Be passionate about what you do. Keep going. Next, consider self-publishing. Right? Consider self-publishing. I have a book over there. Wait, can you see my hand? There we go. Over there is my first published, self-published book of my volcano eruptions in Iceland. Right? Platforms like Blurb, which is where my book was created on Blurb, or Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing allow you to publish your own photography book or ebook. So guys, don't be afraid of this, to consider it. Consider self-publishing. Platforms like Blurb and Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, right? There are so many options out there. We live in the greatest time of photography. We live in the greatest time of our lives. You can go on Canva and create all kinds of stuff and make amazing books and covers. There's all kinds of platforms that can show off a magazine or a book or whatever. We have all of these resources, technological resources, digital resources. You live in the best time of entrepreneurship. But consider self-publishing. It is good. It is a good thing. I see some love in here. I see some love in here. I see Gwendolyn says, focus on your own race. What's for you is already yours. Aya says, man's rejection is God's protection. Oh, it's certainly true. Oh, how many times did that help me? I see the flowers. I see the flowers. I see the emojis. And GR Houston says, let's go there. She says, that's what I did. I published my own photo magazine. Printed copies arriving in a week. And let me tell you something. Can I tell y'all something about Miss G's published piece of magazine, photo magazine? It blew my socks off. I could feel my socks going off my feet. I was like, whoa. I was like, Gwendolyn, you did this? I mean, she's capable of doing a lot of stuff, but I was like, whoa. She'll tell you, I lost my mind. I was like, what? What? This is great. Oh. Get out there and do it. Don't let anything stop you. Okay, next one. Let me let this go. There we go. We're almost there. We're almost there. Here we go to the close. In conclusion, y'all. In conclusion, remember, getting published is a journey that requires passion, persistence, and patience. 3 P's. Passion, persistence, and patience. Can I say it again? Passion, persistence, and patience. Keep shooting and sharing your unique perspective with the world. Can I say it again? Keep shooting and sharing your eyes, your thoughts, your mind, your sight, your camera is unique. Your unique perspective with the world. Man, did anyone learn anything today? Did this help anyone today? There you have it. There you have it. Right? This, when I got the question, I was like, okay, I got you. I got you. I hear you. I hear you speaking. I'm going to, and I always say, if you want to know about something, DM me. I will do the homework. I will do the homework and give you at least the basics. Now, obviously, you can take all these and go into their tangent. You can build upon all these basic tips, but you got these basic tips, and I think you will be rewarded for it if you do them, or do some of them. Get out there and do it. Mimi says her hand, and Mimi has her hands raised. I see Anthony's in the building. Anthony's in the building. He says, there are lonely days as a photographer, especially in the beginning, but you have to stay the course. That's right. Mimi says, this was so encouraging. Thanks, Ron. Chrissy's hand is up. Okay, excellent. You know, like when we grew up in church, he said, now the doors of the church are open. Now the doors of the church are open. Okay, so guys, what I want you to do is to like this video, share it. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I know we were on here 2 hours today. I didn't mean for you guys to be on here 2 hours today, but we were. The first half was great information. We talked about Ghana, Ali's trip, which led us into our political situation here in America. And then you got this amazing lesson. So this was 2 hours spent well. Spent well. Chrissy says, I learned a lot. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. Aya says, this was very inspiring and helpful. Thank you, Ron. There you go. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And so there you go. There you have it. Let me just give you my a couple of little things here. My little banners I want to share with you all. My other banners. Here we go. One is, if you know anyone that's looking for an event photographer, send them my way. This is how I make my money as an event photographer. Now, what is an event? I do all kinds of events. Like, it's a photojournalism event. Yes, like photographing volcanic eruptions in Iceland. That was an event. Anything is an event. Anything that's an event, whether it's a news report or if it's your I did a bas mitzvah this weekend, which I was so blessed to be able to do. Yes, I do events, corporate events, lots of corporate events. I have 2 corporate events coming up at the end of the month. So guys, if you know someone that needs a photographer, say, hey, you know what? Here's Ron. Number 2, I want to thank my sponsors, those that are here. And if you want to be on this thankful sponsor page, make sure you reach out to me. You can just email me or send it through DM me or email me. And you can get to collect the Rolling Clouds. They are here, and Patreon community is here, and Eretmis is here. And if you have a business that you want to share, please share. Please become a sponsor by joining my Patreon page. My Patreon page is there for you to join. Okay, so you have it. There you go. And I'll give you that last bit of information if you need that. There you go. Support by joining my Patreon community by patreon.com/ronlouisphotos. It takes money to be here. And if you want to support, you can do that too. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. This was wonderful. This was rewarding. I had a great time with you all today. What a great day. But I got to get to work. I got some editing to do for my client. Lots of editing for both clients. I got 2 clients to edit for today and tomorrow and all week. So I'll be doing that again. Mimi says, I missed the trip. Will we watch? Okay, got that one. Okay, got you all in here. Okay, got you all in. Okay, guys, see you on tomorrow. It is our Wisdom Wednesday. See you tomorrow.